Former Brooklyn Center police officer Kimberly Potter sat behind her attorney Earl Gray for a virtual court hearing over Zoom. She's charged with second-degree manslaughter in the death of Daunte Wright. Her boss, former Brooklyn Center Police Chief Tim Gannon, said he believes Potter thought she was firing her taser when she instead shot Wright with her gun during a traffic stop. Judge Regina Chu ruled there's enough evidence for the case to move forward, and she set a trial date of December 6th, although that may change. It's to the benefit of everyone to expedite this case and come to a resolution or trial as early as possible, Chu said. Chu added that she's always available if the sides come to an agreement and there's a plea hearing needed. Prosecutor Imran Ali made the rare move of filing a motion for cameras in the courtroom during the trial. Gray said the defense will oppose that motion, which will be decided at a later hearing. Over the weekend, the Brooklyn Center City Council passed a police reform resolution. It includes the creation of a new Department of Community Safety and Violence Prevention, which will oversee police and other departments, including a new community response department to respond to mental health calls, and a traffic enforcement department consisting of unarmed civilians to make traffic stops.
Now, the Officer Potter case is a Hennepin County case, but it's being prosecuted by the Washington County Attorney's Office because of an agreement the metro counties have concerning cases where officers are charged. Imran Ali is the top criminal prosecutor in that office. Concerning the cameras, this is the opposite of the Chauvin trial because there, the prosecutors did not want the cameras, but the defense did. Julie?
All right. Thank you, Lou.